clearly we have ourselves what was or still is an active roof leak. My goodness. As you can see, this kitchen has been completely gutted. Got something going on up there. That's a giant hole in the drywall. I just wanted to showcase like how rough some of these windows are. You can kind of see here, they are in pretty poor shape. Throughout this whole house, guys, you might not be able to tell how many cobwebs are in here. I don't know what is going on here. Oh, whoa. We just finished a full renovation on this house behind me here. We listed it, got it pending, and right after that, some pretty expensive surprises popped up that we definitely were not expecting. So in today's video, I'm gonna walk you through the entire renovation. I'm gonna show you the upgrades that we made and explain the problems that we're dealing with right now. And one of those problems was literally buried right here in the driveway in front of us. If you're new to the channel, we renovate houses like this all the time. We showcase the entire process, the wins and the problems. So hit that subscribe button if you want to follow along. Okay, so a quick overview on this house. We have ourselves a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2,400 square feet. It was built in the 1930s, and we're on a 6,500 square foot lot, which is actually a really good sized lot for an inner city house like this. That was a big selling factor, and a lot of people love that. As you can see, the roof looks phenomenal. It's got a brand new roof on there. We've got all new vinyl windows throughout the entire house. We were able to save the siding, which was a big cost saver for us. So I'm very thankful we were able to save the siding. And then one upgrade that we made last minute to the property, I made a visit right before we're listing the house, and I said, you know, the curb appeal wasn't just quite right. So the hang up was our entryway here. This cedar wrap post that you're looking at here, this was just a 4x4 post, and the railing was some super basic railing. It just didn't match the house, and as good as the rest of the house looked, that stood out like a sore thumb. So what we decided to do, wrap this post in cedar, and as you can see, then we did the braided cable railing as well. I know it's a small touch, but it completely changed the look of the house, just kind of completed the overall exterior curb appeal. So I'm super excited we did that. Guys, so I mentioned that we ran into a few different problems on this house after the fact. So we're currently working through those. We do have contractors in and out today getting these problems fixed so that we can get this property buttoned up and sold. Before we discuss the problems that we ran into and how we are overcoming those, let's go inside the house. Let's take a look around and see how the final product turned out. Okay, so here we are walking in the front door of the house into the living room. Man, this place turned out awesome. If you were with me on the original video when I toured this house, this thing was a stinker. It needed a ton of work. Most people didn't even think it could be brought back to life. It's just a night and day transformation that took place in here, and it looks so awesome. And I'm just super excited to tour you guys through this thing today. Before we tour the entire house, let me just show you this kitchen real quick and how it turned out. Now, we're working with limited space here. There's not a ton of room, but I think for the space that we do have, I think we knocked it out on the park on this thing, and I'm happy with how it turned out. Again, I wish we had more space to work with, but I think for what available space we have, I think it turned out pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like the kitchen? Would you have laid it out differently? I'd love to know. So like I mentioned, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. We actually have 2 of the bedrooms on the main floor here. I'm gonna show you into those real quick. So bedroom number 1 here on the main floor, it's tight, but this is how they made them in the 30s. Super small bedroom here. And then bedroom number 2 is, I think it might have even been maybe an addition at some point. I don't know, maybe in the 50s, somebody added on a larger bedroom in the back here. I don't know that for sure, but it just kind of feels that way. But either way, this is a really large bedroom, and the master bedroom for sure here on the main floor. So that's one thing that I love about this house. Also, we have our 1 bathroom here on the main, and it turned out awesome. We went with a nice subway tile for the shower, which I think complements the era of this house and when it was built. So I love how the bathroom turned out. I think it looks great. And then our 3rd bedroom is actually upstairs in the attic, and we're gonna head there next. But before we do that, I wanna talk about a large change that was made in the living room that actually affects that third bedroom. Okay, so we're in the living room here. Originally, when we bought this house, and if you were with me on the first initial video, you'd have noticed that there was a fireplace that existed on that back wall. It no longer is there, right? So you might be asking, why would you eliminate a perfectly good fireplace from the 1930s? It wasn't that we needed the extra space. It wasn't that it couldn't be brought back to life or anything like that. I'm gonna tell you exactly why as we head up into the third bedroom. Okay, as we're heading upstairs into our third bedroom up here in the attic, the reason that we decided to remove the fireplace downstairs was actually so that we could get rid of a giant chimney stack that was going through the center of this room. Originally, when we bought this house, there was that fireplace in the living room, and then this third bedroom was essentially unusable. So if you go back to the previous video when I first toured it with you, you'll notice not only the fireplace in the living room, but you'll see a giant chimney stack going through the center here. So by eliminating that fireplace downstairs, personally, I would have loved to keep it. I like a fireplace, but it made this third bedroom unusable. Even though I like a fireplace, it was the right move to remove it. So now we have a usable third bedroom. It basically transformed this space from what was very funky and just basically into a big, wide open space, third bedroom, bonus room, whatever you want to make it. So that was a major change we did that helped with the functionality of the house and the layout, and I'm glad we did it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you like the idea, or would you have kept the fireplace downstairs because you love to cuddle up around a cozy fire? So let me know what you think. Okay, so we are headed down to the basement now. And originally, if you were with me on the first tour that we did of this property, this basement area was dark, dingy, smelly. The walls, it was all just like a wood panel style wall. The floors here, just concrete floors. So it was very cold, not an area that you would hang out in. So we decided to get rid of all the wood paneling, hang drywall throughout the room. Instead of having a concrete floor, put in some nice cozy carpet down here to just warm up the basement area. Personally, I love a good basement area. This makes for an incredible game room, secondary TV watching area, you know, theater room, or maybe it's where you let the kids go to just make a mess because you can close the door and this is their area to play. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like this area? Would you have done something different? Do you love a basement area like I do? And again, I think for what this space was, it turned out really nice. And we got a good tall ceiling down here. We're about 7 feet tall. So it's a super usable space. That's also some feedback that we got from the people who toured the property, prospective buyers. They all loved it down here as well. So let me know what you think in the comments. So far, I've showed you 3 of the bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and then this basement secondary hangout area. You're probably wondering where the second bathroom is, and I'm about to show you that right now. And it's a little funky, but it is a second bathroom, so it's still a win. So there's actually this mechanical area on the second half of the basement. This is where like our water heater is around the corner, etc. The bathroom is actually in here. Like I said, it's not an ideal situation, but it's better than having no bathroom at all. So we got ourselves a second 3/4 bathroom in the basement here. A little awkward. It's not super usable for the people upstairs or in the attic trying to come downstairs to use the bathroom, but at the end of the day, if you're hanging out in the basement and you can come over here and utilize a bathroom, it's better than having to go all the way upstairs. So it's still a plus. I wish it was on the other side of the basement, not this side. Okay, so I mentioned that we ran into a couple of problems on this deal during our inspection period when we were reselling this house. So one of the problems was around the heating and cooling of this house. So there is no AC in this house, and the heat source is all cadet heaters, which is basically the little wall heaters that you see. If you don't know what a cadet heater is, it's a little heater that just kind of gets cut into the drywall here, and they're throughout every room in the house. But the problem is, what we've found is that buyers at this price point, and again, we're gonna get into numbers here shortly, buyers at this price point don't want cadet heaters. Sometimes you can get away with it, but other times you can't. And this is a scenario where The buyer said, no, I'm not paying that much for a house with cadet heaters, and I want you guys to put in a new HVAC system. And for us, it turns out that putting a traditional HVAC system in here with your traditional ducting and everything was more challenging than we expected based off of how the house is built and whatnot. So we weren't able to go with a traditional HVAC unit, run ducting, which still would have been costly. We're now having to put in all mini splits throughout the entire house, which can get very, very expensive. So to put in this new HVAC system, the mini splits, the heads in each room, this will obviously service both heat and AC for the entire house. This is costing us around $25,000. That's a big, big hit to the bottom line. And a very painful surprise for that matter when the renovation is already done and we've already accepted an offer, expecting a certain profit margin to be hit, and then this comes out of left field. So you can imagine that was not a pleasant surprise. And unfortunately, that wasn't the only surprise that we ran into here. So surprise number 2, like I said, was actually buried underground. Waha. So surprise number 2 we had was actually buried in the driveway right here. And what happened was there ended up being an old underground oil tank that somehow slipped under our radar and we didn't even know it was there. And during the inspection period when we were selling the house, it's pretty normal to do an oil tank sweep to see if there's any existing oil tanks on the property. And when they were doing the sweep, they ended up finding an oil tank. So that is what this giant gravel patch is here. They had to rip out all the asphalt, remove the oil tank, decommission it, and now we're just waiting on the pavers to come back and actually repave this driveway, because as you can see, we had to tear half of it out. Another big, unexpected expense that was an unpleasant surprise. That oil tank was around a $10,000 addition to the budget that we weren't expecting. So between those two surprises, we're looking at an additional $35,000 to the renovation that we weren't expected to spend. Yeah, painful, but we're working through it. So with those two surprises, there's definitely a few learning lessons that we could take away from this deal. I mean, one is any house that's gonna be priced above a certain threshold when we're selling on the back end, I'm kind of going off the cuff here, but maybe above $500,000, we need to just pencil to put in a nice HVAC system, because I think that's just kind of the expectation of the buyer when you get to this level. Additionally, the oil tank, that was an unforeseen expense, and we're just gonna have to be more mindful when we're buying on the front end to make sure to do a thorough oil tank sweep, and also make sure if we do find an oil tank, depending on where it's at, we need to also pencil for any sort of driveway repair. It wouldn't be as costly if it was just in the dirt back here, right? And we had to just dig up the yard, refill the hole back in, but needing to tear out most of the driveway and then re-pour it is a costly expense and more expensive than we were expecting. So those are two learning lessons there that I'm gonna take very seriously so we don't end up in this predicament again. Okay, before we get into the final numbers, check out this backyard. Like I mentioned, it's a 6,500 square foot lot. This is a massive, massive backyard for an inner city house like this one. So this was a huge selling point, like I had mentioned. I love this backyard. It's absolutely amazing. I'm excited for the buyer of this place to have such an amazing backyard to do with it what they will. So let's get into the numbers on this deal. So we bought this house for $385,000. We ended up spending in renovation costs a total of $160,000. That includes the additional $35,000 that I mentioned to you earlier between the HVAC situation and the oil tank situation. So that puts us all in at $545,000. We actually ended up listing this house for $675,000. If you saw my original video, I said, hey, it's gonna land anywhere from $600,000 to $700,000, depending on how much we put in. Well, we definitely came in on the higher end of the repairs, so we listed it at the higher end of the estimated sale price. So we listed it at $675,000. We went pending in just a few weeks, which brings us to a projected gross profit of $130,000, which is still a wonderful deal, even though all of the issues that we ran into that I just mentioned. Even though there was some big surprises, we're still gonna make out all right on this thing, and we're gonna learn from it too. You know, I feel like every renovation project has surprises. You just need to make sure that you buy right so that when those surprises do pop up, you're still gonna be okay, and you're still gonna be able to make some money on the deal. Example, oil tank, HVAC, etc. Those things just happen all the time in this business. But if you leave enough room and there's enough margin in the deal, you can still come out ahead. Overall, I think this turned into a great renovation, and I absolutely love this deal. If you want to see more projects like this, the good ones, the bad ones, the problems, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, see ya.